Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the podcast for the recently deceased. I'm Nate Roberts.
I am Rodney Godek. How are we doing tonight, brother?
Oh, we're doing great. You know,
Wonderful.
when we do these recording sessions,
Uh huh.
I just love them, and we're right in the thick of it. We are at the midway point,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
we try not to front load these. So in my opinion, we've got the better movies at the back half. So here we go.
We started with the best, but go on.
Tonight, we will be discussing
Ooh.
Totally Killer. When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after his first murder spree to claim another victim, 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back in time to 1987. Scratch that. Accidentally on purpose, travels back in time to 1987, determined to stop the killer before he can start. Directed by Nanachka Khan. Writers
Bless you.
David Metalon, Sasha Pearl Raver, and Jen D'Angelo. Starring Kiernan
Shit.
Shipka, Olivia Holt, Charlie Gillespie, and
Pearl,
and
Pearl Raver. I should have wore this episode. I'm stupid. What an idiot.
missed
Yeah, man. Totally
opportunity.
killer.
Totally killer. Okay, so right off the bat, this movie was fun. It was a horror comedy that didn't lean too
Land.
much. That didn't lean too much on the
Oh,
comedy and still tried to
sorry.
remain a horror movie grounded in the genre
Sure.
of slasher.
Hmm.
Um, the story was interesting enough. I like the trope, the 80s trope of time travel in a ridiculously strange machine that transports her back in time and then, of course, is broken and somehow has to be fixed. It's literally the plot of Back to the Future plus slasher. Um, it reminds me of other 80s trope movies that blend with the horror genre very well. The movie Freaky with Vince Vaughn, which is a body swap a la Freaky Friday, and Happy Death Day, which was a Groundhog Day slasher where she just kept dying and having to relive and outwit the killer eventually. So
Live on repeat.
I put this movie right in that genre. If you enjoyed Freaky, if you enjoyed Happy Death Day, you will love Totally Killer. Um, it was a very fun movie. One of my favorite things about the comedy in Totally Killer was that its wokeness, because every movie nowadays has it, was presented in a very interesting way. Because she was teleported back to the 80s, she's among people who have obviously like no like social awareness as far as any of this stuff is, and so she basically got to comment on it instead of like directing these like woke lessons at the audience. It was more like they would say something and she would be like, seriously? And so that's how they got to present that, which of course, doesn't feel preachy, and you never want it to feel preachy. So kudos to the writing team on that one. Totally Killer for me landed at a solid 7 out of 10.
I am excited. Uh, so just watch Happy Death Day. Save yourself the time. Do not watch this movie.
1 star.
Watch a superior movie that handles cool little hijinks of way it's occurring uh, much more deftly and handedly than this one does. So I agree with some of your commentary as far as what was maybe engaging. You sounded like an old man the way that you were describing woke stuff. I'll admit, like it sounded a little bit kind of old manny. Uh,
I am an old man.
I know.
Look at
We're
this
both. I'm
beard.
not hiding that. I'm not hiding it. But I'm just saying, like, uh, it was okay sometimes, but it was a little bit much other times. I think that for me, this film just kind of lands in this pool of mediocrity. It doesn't excel at really anything. Kudos. Did I already say kudos or did you say kudos? But
I
let's
said
echo the word
kudos.
kudos because they do a good job of combining the genres. The comedy slash horror, they are trying to fire on both of those cylinders an equitable amount to satisfy both of those fans.
Right,
To your point, where some movies are all comedy and not really representative of horror or have any scares, a la The Blackening.
right,
I think justified in an amazing movie, but like, you don't watch it for horror. But if you're a horror fan, you're going to watch it because you're going to appreciate the comedy in the context. This one tries to do both, and I don't think it ever really is, in the end, successfully doing either the way that I would want. I did laugh at moments, but mostly didn't laugh. And the horror elements I thought were lackluster. Some fun ones, but most often lackluster. So overall, I'm just very meh about Totally Killer. Not into the vibe. Thought it was kind of a neat idea, but not well executed. I'm landing at totally a 4 out of 10 for Totally Killer. So
all right.
there's that.
There's that. Well, I think that's exactly the reverse of our birth rebirth scores.
Sure. I mean, yeah, like I wanted to enjoy it. The comedy just didn't land a lot of times for me. The
Yeah,
premise I thought was fun. It could have been really great, but it just didn't hit.
I
Some of the '80s stuff was cool, but it wasn't enough '80s stuff. I didn't think.
so for me, I actually really thought the comedy was better than the slasher. At least
Hmm.
the horror aspects of the slasher. What I really liked was the story. The twist was good. Like she went back in time to kill the
Which
killer.
twist? What twist?
She went back in time to kill the killer, right?
Yeah.
She kills the killer. But that doesn't
Yeah.
change. That didn't change anything in the present because the killer in the present is not the killer, the original killer. The killer in the present's a copycat.
Right.
Like that. So like that was cool. I did not see that
Yes.
coming.
Yeah.
Right.
That
And
was an the writing. Yes, the framing of that. I agree. That is a pro column
yeah. And then
for
the
sure.
the original killer was the guy who became the principal of the school. So
Yes.
so the new timeline was the wacky gym teacher in the old present is now the principal in the new present. Um, of course, she saved her mom, who was the target of the copycat,
Hmm.
and the whole, reason she went back in time was to save her mom. Um, yeah, I just thought that the way the story was put together was fine. Yeah, some of the jokes didn't land, but I thought the comedy was better than the horror. But
Sure.
the plot is actually what got me there. I thought it was good.
I suppose for me, and I'm remembering more clearly now as we're talking about it, like what was it that really made me start to sit in a I'm probably not going to like this camp? I was open to letting it evolve, but it was the scene where very, very shortly after her mother is brutally murdered. Okay, let's brutally murdered.
Sure.
Uh, she's sitting with her dad, and they're fine. They're kind of like, "Oh, that really sucks." And I'm like, you're not even like nothing about this is natural or normal. You'd be inconsolable if this was the relation. So like because there's that, and I get it, like that's not the focus of the movie, but that scene alone, the way that the husband and the daughter are reacting to losing this most crucial part of their lives, they were kind of just like, rub some dirt on it, get back on the fucking field. And I was like, okay, like none of this is serious. I'm kind of annoyed actually. And then it just kind of, it really tainted my experience. Maybe that's on me. Fair. That's on me for not letting it go, holding a grudge with the movie. But I kind of had an extra grind. And then you throw Randall Park in, he's doing his dumb bullshit, and you get kind of annoyed quick with certain things like that. Some of the '80s stuff was great. The '80s gym teacher, she was awesome.
uh,
Loved her.
yeah, yeah, she was great.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in the '80s timeline. I mean, all the comedy was in the '80s timeline. Like anything in the present was just either the you know
Yeah, the majority of the movie is in the 80s, and
yeah.
so they can get away with doing all that. The woke commentary stuff was fun. Like I did like the jock throwing her out of the party and then just like burping in her
Dude,
face.
the
Like
blowjob joke was fucking hilarious.
the blowjob joke.
So
Yes, that
yeah.
was good. That all she has to do is
if
just go in there and just do a beach.
if she had if she is dead because she didn't give blowjobs. If she had just given a blowjob, she'd still be alive today.
Sure.
And the main character is like, I don't think that's the takeaway here.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I think more women need to hear that, but I think yeah, it was
yes.
one of the highlight jokes for sure on the sizzle reel cut of the movie. But it was just meh, it was whatever. Where did this wasn't even in theaters, right? This was
No,
straight
straight to
to
Prime.
right, straight to Prime. Hour 46. I mean the whole Max Headroom type esque head was kind of interesting. The time travel was a little bit interesting. The red mist at the end was kind of lame, and then I don't like whenever movies do that end credits with the "Where are they now?"
Yeah,
I didn't care. I don't care now.
yeah.
I'm leaving the theater
You
or
didn't like
turning this off.
Animal House? Or you liked it
Animal House.
you liked it when they did it the first time.
I don't even remember that they did that on Animal House because
Uh,
I probably turned it off.
uh,
They did that in the credits of Animal House.
yeah, that was like I think that was the first time that it was ever done, or at least when people
Oh,
do that, they're
good on them.
definitely parodying
Okay.
Animal
I didn't
House.
realize.
Yeah.
I don't think they're aware of what they're parodying. I think that they actually cared about telling us where their stupid characters went. And I don't care.
All right. I could feel this one losing steam. Totally Killer
Nah, it's all Steam, dude.
gets a 7 out of 10.
Telekiller out of 4 out of 10 for Rod.
And for the
Sorry,
podcast
guys.
for the recently deceased, I'm Nate Roberts.
I'm Rodney Godek. Take care.
And we'll see you next time.
Did you just want to les out this weekend?
Hey,
Hi.
let's party.
It's gross. Not your comment was gross. Not gay people. Gay people are amazing. Your comment was homophobic undertones.